Hello and welcome to Vlogmas day 12. Thank you so much for being here today. It was not the originally planned video, but hey, we are going with it. We're pivoting and we're staying on track with our goals. So today's video is now my top favorite slow burn romance books with little to no spice. I'm talking like they kiss at the end. Kissing is like where, like that's where it like kind of ends. And so we will just get right into it, starting with The Gate to Kagoshima by Poppy Kuroki. I read this book as an early reader in October, and I will say I fell in love with the story of her falling in love with a samurai and falling into this like time loop. It's almost giving like Outlander vibes, except it's Japan, and there's just the setting of the scene and her knowing what's going to happen and being from the future, and then kind of like falling into this place in a world where like phones don't exist and there's not all these like pressures in the world, and just kind of like living this like very simple life that I loved. And their romance was everything, and like the way she went into that battle knowing that they were all going to die, and like her not even having a second thought about how like she could have died too. And I just love that because it was just two people who really yearned for each other, and she yearned for him in not like when I say 21st century way, like she, you know, like girls tell the guy that they like them, where he was very much different in so many ways. And this book just blew me out of the water. The next book I want to talk about is the Wisteria. Correct me in the comments, girlies. The Wisteria Society of Ladies Scoundrels. So for this one, the heat factor, like the door is like slightly ajar. Okay, like this is the most slightly ajar book we're gonna talk about, but like the character chemistry, we're talking banter, we're talking assassination attempts, and we're just talking like confusing pants feels. Like that's where like the door is like slightly ajar. But this year I really fell into Regency romance, because let me tell you, this next series takes slow burn tension to a whole new level. When I was yearning for their kiss, and then they just ate me up with their banter. And that was the Noble Charade series, and it's the Earl Next Door. So it starts with Henrietta and Charlie. They meet at the water room, and it was also like a very big learning experience for me, because I didn't know like water rooms existed, and like when people were getting courted in London and all of these things, and like, oh my gosh, like true enemies to lovers, but like lovers that they just have like a kiss in the end. Same thing, the next book after that is The Duke's Diary. And that follows Charlie's sister and the Duke that he grows up with and is friends with. And then the last one, Parlor Games, follows Henrietta's sister, who finally gets her happy ending. And this author, Ashton Newbold, like she needs to be sung out into the world, and people need to know her name. And so I'm saying it, and I'm saying that you will giggle and kick your feet at these stories. I loved her writing. It was so easy to like get through. This was a book that I got like, oh, I'm just gonna get something that like I can easily fall asleep to, and here I am with my Kindle, 3 a.m. unable to sleep, because I needed to know about Henrietta and Charlie. They were my favorite, ultimate favorite. Like they have my heart and soul forever, and it's a book that I will 100% be rereading in 2025. It's just an amazing series. The next one is the Pride and Prank series by Cindy Steele. So this one is I might be saying them out of order, but it's Double or Nothing, That Fine Line, Stranded Ranch. If you like a cowboy romance, but you want like a sweet, funny, like real romantic comedy, like clean, wholesome, this series, it tops. Like it's so good. I mean, there were times where Tessa like annoyed me in this series a little bit, but then like towards the end, like she got her act together, she got it together, but you got to see why she was kind of like annoying a little bit. And then that leads me to the next book that Cindy Steele has, which is like Faking Christmas. So if you're looking for Christmas vibes, but you want that clean, wholesome, yearning love, that's a good one. And then the next one I am going to talk about is A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting by Sophie Irwin. This is Regency romance. Here we are again. Like I said, it captured my heart in 2024. And I never thought I could love a Regency romance. And what was like my like first toe in was the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels, because it was a blind date with a book at my college library that I had picked up and fell in love with. And so A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting by Sophie Irwin, it's a Regency romance. We're talking kisses only. We're talking long stares, like everything that you could want from a man. Regency romance really gives that to you. The next book we're going to talk about is The Burnout by Sophie Kinsella, and that one is another one where I love that read because I feel like I'm at that phase in my career right now. It is a complete romantic comedy. I mean, these two people are enemies and like come together in the end, but not in the end in that kind of way. And I feel like it's just a really sweet romance, and it really focuses on like two different themes of like rediscovering yourself, loving yourself, but also that like sweet romantic comedy of like two people coming together. And if you haven't watched my 2024 reading wrap up, when the main character, the female main character, when she literally has a mental breakdown, and it's just, it reminds me so much of me because I work in tech, and then it's like, it just, people keep asking more and more and all this stuff from you, and she literally has like a mental breakdown where she's like out the window of her job, like she sees like nuns going into the church, and she literally runs to the church. This is like the beginning of the book, and if you can go with the comedic part of where she literally goes to the church and she tells the nun, like, she's like, I want to join, like, I want to quit, I want to join. And they're like, no, it doesn't work like that, you can't. So she just goes into this mental spiral, and it just sends her on this journey to like meeting this guy and like taking time off after burnout, and just like a really good ending, really good vibes that I would 10 out of 10 recommend this book. The next book I forgot to mention by Cindy Steele. If you want golden retriever energy, like if he would, he could, like you get one single kiss in this book, slow burn, yearning for their love, golden retriever man, like a man that every girl would want. You want Duke Weber. You want Duke Weber, and you will love this book. Thank me later. The next is another series that is pretty popular, and I really am trying not to say too many popular books, and it's the Powerless series. And so if you haven't read that already, it's a fantasy romance. There's a lot of yearning. It's not like clean and wholesome. I don't want to say the romance is clean and wholesome, but like the book does have some like violence of like characters like fighting in trials. It's very like Hunger Games coded, but in a totally different like magical way. And that's what I'll put it at. And there's like multiple characters who you fall in love with, and they take you on this emotional roller coaster, and there's so much yearning for the love that they have, and you know that they're like capable of, but there's so much in the way of that. So for my girlies who are interested in fantasy and want to dip a toe in, I feel like this is a great series to do that with. Next, thing I wanted to recommend is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I read this in 2023, so she has 2 books. I don't know why I can't think of the second one, but I'm gonna 1 and 2 are gonna be right here. I rated these lower on the list because I feel like I was also in college at the time, and it was heavily academia just coded, because she's on this, I don't want to say on this study, she's doing a scholarly study on the Fae and all this stuff, and the subplot is romance, but it's really good in that way where if you're looking for something with romance but it's not heavy, that's a good book to get yourself into that. But just be prepared, there's heavy academia themes in there because it's trying to teach you something, because that's who the main character and like her main thing is. The next one after that is a book that I seriously don't hear about enough, where I feel like I'm not a mystery girly, I'm not a thriller girly, but this book is just one that really got me back into reading, and it was The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. It was her first debut novel. I read it, I want to say in 2023, early 2023, but I still remember the whole premise of the book. The twists, the turns, and the subplots of romance that happen in that book are really good. I wouldn't say they're sweet, but I just wanted to recommend it in a way that it is a book that the subplot of romance hooks you in because of the mystery that's happening. Again, you can say in the comments, girl, we could just leave that one out, but I feel like that book does not get talked about at all on the internet, and I feel like I just needed to slide it in there. And then you come back and tell me in the comments if you've read it and what you think, and if you haven't read it, you go read it, go on Libby, find it, read it, still come back and tell me what you thought about it, because it was a book, like I said, that I either read 2023, maybe even 2022, I'm not sure. I just remember it was her debut novel, and it was really good. It's another thing that has heavy academia themes, and I really didn't know much about it going into the book. I wasn't as big into Goodreads as I am this past, or as I have been this past year in Fable, but that book really got me back into reading as somebody who, again, does not read mysteries or thrillers. And then my last rec is going to be all of Cara Stone's Audible originals. So I'm talking Love at First Sight, Call Me Maybe, See Maybe This Time, and I feel like I'm missing one. Call Me Maybe, Sweet Talk, Love at First Sight. Either way, this one is just an amazing, not this one, these Audible originals are absolutely incredible, and I would highly recommend them to anyone. I feel like if you're having a day where you're just feeling down, or when you're cleaning or anything, like, these books brighten your mood. You'll see them all throughout my videos on YouTube of me listening, me talking about them. I will hands down say Cara Stone's Audible originals will forever live in my mind, and I feel like if there's one out of all of them that you will find me re-listening to next year, maybe even next week, because I am emotionally attached to Mikey. Again, if he would, I'm saying this because this man was about to, I don't want to ruin it, but he was about to cross the time-space continuum for a girl he just started talking to over like 2 weeks. When they know he was about to cross the barrier of the time-space continuum for this girl. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because he is my favorite. Robbie was so cute, don't get me wrong, and I can't even think of the guy's name from Seatmate. Oh my god, there's too many men to think about. And all I have to say is I think Mikey really tops all of the men in Cara Stone series when I met him in my ears. Well, thank you so much for sticking around. There's not going to be heavy edits. There wasn't heavy edits on this video because, like I said, the OG video for day 12, she didn't happen. And so it is 6:18 p.m. and I still need to record day 13. And so your girl is holding it together and making sure I'm still reaching my goals while also still providing really good content. So I appreciate you guys for sticking it out on this one. Not you guys, you. Thank you for sticking it out on this one. I promise I'll get better and I'll be like, you guys, because I know it's just like me and you talking, like us girls, FaceTiming, having a good time. So comment if you made it this far into the video below if you have read any one of these books, what you thought about the books, or what book interested you the most, and give me book recs. I need clean, wholesome, slow burn. I need to be yearning for their kiss. Just long looks, long running away, just little things like that. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.